Think about the bunch of notes that you've got in your notepad app, or maybe a few flighty recordings that you have in your phone, or maybe some journal entries that you intended to put into a book. Are they still just kind of sitting there? And is that bugging you that you haven't finished yet? Today's episode of the Getting the Win Show is for you. Let's get into it. Good evening and happy Wednesday, my winners and goal getters. Welcome to another episode of the Getting the Win Show. I'm your host, Melissa T, the Procrastination Bully, and your hashtag author bestie. Welcome to another episode. If you're new to this show, we're talking writing and self-publishing, and I help women who've navigated a trauma or transition get to that point, like turning their trauma or transition into a tool of transformation in the form of a book. So in today's episode, I want to talk about those incomplete thoughts, like that gnawing in your mind, because you've had the notes in your notepad app for a minute, right? You've had the voice recordings in your phone for a minute because you intend to do something with it. Like, you heard the advice to voice record because that's the cheat code. It's shorter, it gets the book done faster. You just haven't taken the step to transcribe yet. Maybe you've got a bunch of journal entries and you want to do something with them. Maybe you haven't digitized them yet. Like you've started, and your biggest concern is whether or not you can actually finish the process because you've got a bunch of other stuff going on. Raising my hand. I feel you. I feel you. I get it. I feel your pain. So I want to talk to you today about ways that you can get to that next step. But before I get to the tactical part, let me first address the gnawing feeling that you may not finish. First of all, let me explain there's nothing wrong with you. Let me just start with that. There's nothing wrong with you. If anything, this is a sign of what's great with you because you do so much stuff and so many people in your life rely on you because you're excellent at what you do already. So because you're being pulled in so many different directions, this book is not the loudest priority in your life. I get it. That's why I'm here. I'm here to help you get the book done in small, bite-sized, easy to do ways. Like, I give you easy to execute steps to finish the book. Maybe your priority isn't speed right now. I've got cheat codes to get a book done very quickly. Maybe your priority isn't speed. That's fine. So let's remove that obstacle out of the way. If that's something that's been gnawing you about the fact that you haven't finished the book yet, tell yourself it's okay. This is not a sprint, because the book you want to produce is a tool for transformation, and something like that you likely cannot race through, right? That's something that you want to research at the highest level to make sure all the claims that you're making in your book are backed up by data. Perhaps you want to make sure that you come up with a framework that your reader can follow so that they learn exactly what you did to overcome your trauma or transition in a way that's repeatable. And that might take some time. Like, that might not be something you can execute in 21 days or 1 week. That might take you a month or 2 or 3. And that's okay. So let's start with those 2 first. 1, there's nothing wrong with you. The fact that you haven't yet finished the book is probably proof that something is right with you. You are highly relied upon. You are highly sought after because you're excellent in every other area of your life. And the way we do one thing is the way we do everything. So if you're excellent in every other area of your life, this book about to be fire because you want to be excellent with it. And the beautiful thing is you have your hashtag author bestie here. So you can watch any of my videos. I have an entire step-by-step playlist for getting your book done from start to finish. So you can always start with that. And my videos usually average 35 to 45 minutes, usually. Some of them run an hour in terms of those step-by-step instructional videos. And that's okay. You can take a look at them, see how long they're going to be, and then allocate your time to decide when you want to watch that and when you want to execute on it. And if you want accountability, you know what to do. Subscribe here, drop that in the comments, or follow me on Instagram at Getting the Win Show and drop me a DM. I got you, okay? If the accountability is what you need, let's get that taken care of. So nothing is wrong with you. And the other thing I'm reiterating here is you don't have to rush this. This doesn't have to be a week. It doesn't have to be a weekend. Yes, I offer the author activation weekend as a sprint. Some people work better under those conditions, which is why I offer that. The 21-day boot camp is for the folks that need a little more time to massage their ideas and to spread the execution of the book into bite-sized tasks per day. But even if 21 days is too short for you, that's fine. Let's agree on a deadline that works for you. Maybe you need 30, maybe you need 90. But pick one of those. Like, give yourself a deadline that works for you and then write that down and commit to it. Put it in your calendar, set the alarm, commit to it. Okay? That way you're clear going forward. So nothing's wrong with you. You're excellent. And this doesn't have to be a rush if you don't want it to be. If you don't operate in that way, don't feel pressured. Give yourself a 30-day deadline or a 90-day one. I've heard some people take 6 months. That's fine too. In my opinion, that's a bit, like that's quite a while. However, it depends on the method in which you're writing your book. If it's you writing your book yourself, whether that's voice recording or typing, that can be done in 90. However, if you're using a slightly longer method like ghostwriting, where someone is interviewing you and you've made that investment, that's going to take 6 months, and that's understandable. That's typical for ghostwriting projects. Either way, it comes back to the same point. You don't have to feel rushed. So let's get that out of the way. Okay. That third one I mentioned is accountability. So now that you've chosen which of those time frames work best for you, share that with your whoever that is. Whether that's someone you know personally, whether you choose to let it be me in the comments or in my DMs on Instagram. Like, either way, tell your what that deadline is so you can keep going. Okay? I'll share my story with you because I experienced this myself. So originally, I want to say this is 2 years ago now. The channel launched in 2023. By 2024, I had started working on a productivity book at the very end of 2024. If you've been rocking with the channel for a minute, you heard about this. I had gone to Jamaica in December of 2024 for the Christmas holiday with my family, and God had downloaded to me the outline, the full outline for a productivity book. And I headed into 2025 gung-ho. I was going to write that, I was going to write that book and publish it. By May 30th, that was the deadline I had given myself to finish that book. Can I tell you something? By May 30th, I had a shell of a book that couldn't go anywhere. That version of the book could not go anywhere. And I did hit a wall. So I know that feeling of being stuck. And I was eating my own cooking with that. I voice recorded all the chapters because I knew typing out all those concepts was going to take me forever. Because I am someone who loves words. Y'all, pray for your girl, okay? I'm that person that needs to reiterate what I'm writing to shorten my sentences. Because I can get wordy. Like, it's real easy for me to write an entire paragraph that is literally one sentence. Blame my parents. Like, they had me study the dictionary when I was a kid as extra homework because my elementary school homework was too easy. This is what it is. I own my stuff. However, I knew I had to voice record that book in order to be as productive as possible, right? Since the book I was writing about was productivity, like helping people beat procrastination. However, even with using that method, I was still hitting a wall. I was still stuck. And I heard something from Dr. Myron Golden recently that was enlightening, and maybe this will help you as well. Now, Dr. Myron is somebody that is constantly reading. He is a voracious reader, and he is an incredible teacher, like highly gifted as a teacher. Therefore, writing books comes pretty easily for him. The thing he shared this past week was, if it takes you longer than 3 weeks to write a book, there's something you don't know. There's something you don't know. There's still something you have to learn in that process. And I thought, that's interesting benchmark, but I understand where he's coming from. Because like onto that, in the world of content creation, he said, if you're ever worrying about running out of content, you're not an expert at the topic. And I was like, that's an interesting standard. But again, I understand it. It comes down to our breadth of knowledge around the subject. So what does this have to do with you and what we're talking about right here? This goes back to the time frame thing that I was talking about, like letting you know that this does not have to be a rush. And in my case, the reason I hit a wall is that despite being the procrastination bully, I became the procrastination bully out of a personal need. It was something I needed for myself because up until that point, I didn't have a procrastination bully in my corner. Shout out to moms. She is good at that, but the vibe is slightly different. Like mom is mom, right? Like our parents are our parents. But having a peer holding me accountable, that was what was missing. And it wasn't until joining the UOU Mastermind in 2023 that I entered into a family of peers that could do that for me. So it took me way longer than 3 weeks, right? I got the download in December of 2024. By May 30th of 2025, the book still wasn't complete. Like it wasn't published ready. And then as I continued to delay, God then gave me the revelation of how to pivot and narrow my focus. So instead of just focusing on the broader subject of productivity, he led me back into the world of publishing, which I had completely given up on after two unfortunate client experiences in 2020. During the pandemic, we were all on lockdown. The both of them didn't happen in 2020, but two unfortunate client experiences, the most recent of which happened in 2020, where I had to refund the client all of her money because I was having my own tech challenges and the end product couldn't work for her or for the interior designer that she was using for her book. So it hamstrung her publishing process. I had given up on the publishing industry forever after that. In 2025, God gave me the clarity to come back around to it. So then I pivoted the channel to talk about publishing, writing and self-publishing, and healing through trauma, right? So now with that pivot, the Pain to Prose playbook was born. And I follow a rule, and you can write this down if you need to, that I learned from Marie Forleo, in which she says, don't erase, copy paste. Meaning, instead of deleting all the material from the productivity book that I had already recorded and put on the page, I simply created a duplicate Google Doc, renamed it Pain to Prose Playbook. Then I was free to go in and remove whatever wasn't going to be relevant to the subject matter. That way, the original stuff from the productivity book is still there, fully intact. And some of it did make it into the Pain to Prose Playbook. So the beautiful thing about the Pain to Prose Playbook, it's on pre-order right now. The landing page is already set up, paintoprose.com. But the beautiful thing about the Pain to Prose Playbook for me, and this is what helped me get unstuck with even this book, is the need to create content for the author activation weekend in Tennessee. Every author sprint that we do, every author intensive that we do, we create a workbook. And I knew the ladies coming to the author activation weekend in Tennessee were going to need a workbook because we get into it, okay? Like tactics, step-by-step strategy, all of the things. And I go into my F5 framework in painstaking detail during the author activation weekend. So what ended up happening as a result, I literally ended up writing a book. That's no cap. This particular author activation weekend workbook isn't the typical like low content book where it's a couple of sparse pages that may double as slides or something and then fill in the blanks that the ladies would use. No. The participants in this year's playbook, this year's author activation weekend got an actual book, y'all. Like chapters and sections and all. Chapters, sections, blanks, everything. This is an actual book, y'all. ISBN number and everything. This was originally going to be in spiral. Like this was going to be spiral bound. we ended up just doing the binder in the interest of time. But this workbook is actually book number 9 for me. The Pain to Pearls playbook is book number 10. But it took repurposing my existing content and repackaging it in a different way that helped me do a heavy lift towards the completion of the Pain to Pearls playbook. Because I was so painstaking in the breakdown of the F5 framework in this workbook, I just did a huge copy paste from the workbook to the Pain to Pearls playbook because I go over the F5 framework in that book. So between the content that I already had from the productivity book that I was going to create, the content from this workbook, which is an actual book, I was able to copy paste a bunch of that stuff over into the Pain to Pearls playbook. And now there are a few tweaks I'm making as I'm prepping to launch it on August 1st. But that was what helped me get unstuck with it. Like, yes, God had me pivot. But initially, when he had me pivot, I didn't know where to start. I won't lie to you. I didn't know. But because I had the author activation weekend coming up, and I knew what I wanted my attendees to learn, this book was born first. And then I was able to repurpose the content. Which brings me to the next thing that can help free you up. If you need to pivot during the process of your book, that's okay too. Allow for the pivot. Don't be so married to the initial concept that you hang on to that and stay stuck and never do the book. Because that productivity book, I'm going to end up doing something with that eventually. It won't look the way I initially intended for it to look or the way God initially downloaded the book to me. It'll evolve. It'll develop into something different. But I didn't allow myself to be stuck there after the pivot. Something else demanded that I lock in and repurpose the information. Because the entire point of the author activation weekend was transformation. And all 7 attendees got that, all of them. The in-person ones and the virtual one. They all underwent a transformation. They are all authors now. Some of them with their landing pages complete. My virtual attendee, shout out to Cecilia. As of this recording, her rough draft is done. 15 chapters. Super proud of her. So transformation was the goal. Not only did they learn the repeatable process of authorship, but they developed the identity of an author as well, understanding that the book that they're creating is a tool for transformation. And everybody that participated in that weekend is a world changer. I don't say that as hype. These are all people who are in the world of personal development because they want to become better and because they genuinely care about people. They genuinely want to help people improve their lives. And I know that's true for you, which that goes back to my point number 1, which is there's nothing wrong with you. This is a sign that something is actually very great about you. You're already heavily relied upon. You're already excellent in everything else. Your concern right now is whether or not you can finish this thing. And I can assure you that you absolutely can. What got me unstuck was the urgency of another responsibility. In my case, it was the upcoming author intensive, and that was going to require a workbook, and I wrote an entire book. Like, that was how that worked out for me. How that might look in your life is if you're already posting on social media, that could simply mean you copy pasting or taking screenshots of your previous posts. And by the way, if you don't have time to do this, because this sounds very labor intensive, right? This sounds very time intensive. Hire a student to do it. You don't necessarily have to hire a full-time social media marketing manager to do this or something like that, or like a content creator or content creation agency. You don't necessarily need to do all of that. That may not be an investment you have capacity for right now. But you do have capacity to hire like a high school student or a college student that is tech literate, which they all are at this point. They know more about it than we do right now. You can hire a high school student or a college student part-time. And when I say college student, we talking freshmen, okay? Don't necessarily reach for your seniors because your seniors are about to transition into the workforce. They're looking for full-time work. They want to be able to receive a paycheck that's going to sustain them. What you're asking for is something that's part-time, something that's menial. So there'll be a no. Like that audience will be a no. But a high school student or a college freshman, tech savvy, they already have access to all the stuff. They're familiar with all the platforms. And if you tell them, you don't even need to give them access to your social media accounts. They can simply go to your profiles. You can ask them, hey, take screenshots of these posts and like do your thing with the AI tool. Can you like help me out here? Because what they can do with that to help you repurpose your content is to upload those screenshots to the AI tool, preferably Claude, because Claude is the best in terms of written content, whether short or long. And since we're talking about books, that's long form written content. So uploading that stuff to Claude and then asking Claude like, hey, these are the social media posts that I've created. I'm working on a book in this topic and genre for this particular kind of reader. Like, how can repurpose this content into written content? Like, how can you repurpose this into a book? And have Claude go to work. It can give you an outline. You can ask it for an outline. It'll likely, and given how Claude thinks, Claude will likely produce an entire document for you, not a book that's written for you, but an analysis for you. Meaning, hey, based on what you said who you said your target reader is, this is what they're looking for. Based on your topic and genre, these are the best-selling books in the genre. You should write a book that covers these things. It'll tell you that. Like, it'll give you an analysis document. And then from there, using the uploaded content, either the high schooler or you can give Claude the follow-up prompt like, okay, give me a table of contents or outline that is a New York Times bestseller level outline that I can then write my book from using my social media content. It'll give you that too. And then another follow-up, you can ask it, or this can be step one if you wanted to. You can say, using my social media content, now that you have my voice, write chapter summaries for me in a way that this book will be a best-selling book for my target reader. It'll give you the chapter summaries, and chapter summaries really shorten your time because now you're not going into the chapter writing blind. Now you're not looking at a blank page. Now in your document, you're seeing chapter 2, such and such and such. It gave you a full summary of what chapter 2 should cover. That arms you with the information so you can go voice record, which you can do in your car, in your bathroom, while you're cooking, on a smoke break if you smoke. Like, whatever window of time that you can pinch into your very busy schedule while you're waiting in the pickup line for your kid. Like, now you have this outline that Claude came up with for you based on your information. So it has your voice. So now you're not reading a summary based on what the machine spit out. The machine gave you an outline based on your voice and your content that you fed to it. And that way your conscience is clear. Let me know in the comments if this is making sense to you. All right. So I wanted to clarify in this episode. 1, there's nothing wrong with you. You are excellent. It's because you're so relied upon that this concern of not finishing is coming up in the first place. So there's nothing wrong with you. 2, accountability. Doing this kind of out of order, but that's okay. Accountability, like having your who in your corner is going to make all the difference in the world. The next one, repurposing existing content if you have it. Like that can be the holdup for you. If you have those notes in your notepad app or whatever app it is, your notes app, whatever it's called, in your phone, on your laptop, or on your tablet, they're still sitting there and you need it to be digitized or to be repurposed, hire that part-timer, that high schooler, that college freshman, someone in your faith community, maybe in your church, temple, whatever the case may be, like someone that is tech savvy and young and has the time on a part-time basis. That way, it's a humble investment on your part, but it's not an arm and a leg. It doesn't feel like it's a huge lift for you financially. And they get the incentive. It's money they didn't have before. So bring in that part-time hire to do that repurposing for you. Have them compile your notes into the AI tool for you to create chapter outlines. Have them take the screenshots of your social media posts for you and upload it into the AI tool to kick out your chapter outline. Okay? If you don't have the time to do it yourself, get somebody else to do it. You don't have to rush this. The other thing I had mentioned was giving yourself that timeline. Are you allowing yourself 30 days? Are you allowing yourself 90? Are you allowing yourself 21? Are you allowing yourself 6 months? Whichever one it is that you're deciding on. Notice I didn't say choose. Deciding, meaning you're cutting off all other options. Whichever one of those you're deciding on, type that in the comments below this video. I want to know. And the rest of our community will cheer you on too. Let's make this real. And whatever help you need, you know I got you. I'm your #author bestie. If you haven't yet, subscribe here on YouTube at Getting the Win. You can follow me on Instagram, Pinterest, and Threads at Getting the Win Show. And of course, follow me there first and then DM me any questions you have. Or just drop your questions in the YouTube comments. And I read every one of them. So I'm happy to answer them. Okay? But you are excellent. You are the bomb.com. You are relied upon. So I am allowing you to lean on me to simplify this process for you and get you to the finish line. Because you're already executing in every other area of your life. You are a finisher. The book just seemed more daunting because it was a lower priority. That's all right. It can be a lower priority and still get done. Two things can be true at once. You have help. So even if it's a lower priority, let's hire that part-timer so that they can do the work for you that you don't want to do. Because the repurposing can feel like a slog if it's not something you enjoy doing. So offload that, hire that part-timer, and then whatever questions you got, shoot them to me. I'm happy to answer them. And then watch my playlist, the how to get started writing a book from start to finish. Watch that playlist because I break the process down, literally, from ideation to publication. I got you. Everything you need is here. Everything you need, you have access to. I'll close with that. Everything you need, you already have access to. Between the people you know in your network, whether that's second degree, third degree, or even your connection to me as a viewer. Technically, I have second and third degree connections for you if you need stuff done related to your book in order to get you across the finish line. But you are not alone in the process. You do not have to be alone in the process. You should not be alone in the process. Shout out to Dana Bell, licensed mental health counselor. She recommends that, like, don't do this alone. Don't do this alone. And I second that. But everything you need is available to you. And don't look at anything in this process as either or. Dr. Myron Golden says, like, the poor-minded say it's either or. The wealthy-minded say both. Both and. It's all available to you. You are epic. You are awesome. And everything you need is already available to you. In the meantime, in between time, I hope you have a great and productive rest of your Wednesday, a great and productive rest of your week. Catch me tomorrow night live for my Thursday lives at 7 p.m. Eastern. Hope to see you there. Join me in the chat. Tomorrow, I'm going to be talking about industry updates. Like, we're about to get into it because as authors, we are involved in the publishing industry. So I'll be going over the latest industry updates, what readers are looking for in 2026. We're halfway through the year, but readers are still reading, amazingly enough. So if that was a limiting belief that was stopping you from finishing, like, what if I do this book and nobody wants to read it? That's not true at all. People who love to read will always be reading. Your book is still needed out here. Don't deprive the people who need your solution of that solution. Let's get that book done. I'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern right here on YouTube, or if you prefer to catch me on LinkedIn or Instagram, because all of my Thursday lives are simulcasted across those 3 platforms: YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn at Melissa Thomas with 2 L's and 2 S's. I just mentioned my IG, and of course, I mentioned my YouTube here. See you tomorrow. Peace.